You're Caleb Noble.
Near Sarah Pizzuto.
And it's Tuesday night, and who did we talk to today?
We talked to Andy Marlette, and he's from Minnesota.
And we also talked to Dallas Bolin on her new bar in Sun Chaser Morgan.
We talked to Rhiannon Beauregard, who has a 23-year-old Morgan. She's from New England, represent, and now she lives in Austin, Texas. And her horse used to be a hunter, and now he's a world champion dressage horse. Pretty cool story.
It was a great story, and we also talked to Maryhill Farm and got a little history and background about their barn.
It was a great day overall, and Tuesday night's going to be a pretty special night, I think.
I'm pretty excited.
So we'll take it off with you guys and enjoy the show.
Stay tuned.
So here we have a 17-year-old horse that is extremely competitive, in this case the carriage division. He's very well turned out. And Arlen here, he's looking, he's got, here's his monogram is on his apron. This keeps him clean. This is the dashboard. This is patent leather and it's padded, and then there are little handholds to help you get in and out of the carriage quite easily because it is high. A step here to get in. This is a front entry vehicle, which is very easy for a two-wheel carriage. So, and he's got his whip and his horse here. He's got all brass appointments. All the metals match, either all brass or all silver. This vehicle is a copy of a vehicle originally made by Lord Stanhope in England in the mid-1800s. And he was the designer of carriages. This one's quite high. This is considered the most elegant way a gentleman can drive a two-wheel carriage. It has spindles around the seat. And then for a little extra flavor, we have faux louvers on here. Some of these vehicles originally, maybe these louvers were open so that if he had a dog or something under the seat, air got into it. And then the back is all closed, so anything that's carried in the carriage is kept clean and dry. And it has springing front and back, so it gives you a very nice, comfortable ride. This is a very elegant type of a carriage, particularly for a gentleman to drive. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
A pleasure to see you, and good luck.
So in the class right now, we have our section B of the carriage driving pleasure.
Right. This is again judged on how well the horse is moving and does the various gaits. And as we talked about earlier, manners is a very important thing. And also, you want to, as a competitor, show definite gait changes to the judge. So if you want to do your walk, which is very important, and then your slow trot, and then you want to move up a notch to the working, and then the strong trot, you want a clear definition of a difference in movement.
So let's talk a little bit about turnout. What are you looking for, carts and harnesses and stuff? Because a lot of this is new to me, and I'm sure a lot of people at home are wondering, what's the importance of each?
Well, this is a sport of pleasure driving, so we are looking for a good balance, like this horse is passing in front of us now. This is a gig, which is a two-wheel vehicle. This is a copy of an English gig that was first built in about 1870. And we want a horse in a gig to have, in our case, a good crest, a little bit of bulk, and have some presence in harness. And not be, thin and spindly, because we want our horses to match their vehicle. If they have a four-wheel, light vehicle like the horse down in the corner there, the horse can be a little bit finer boned, and that vehicle has four wheels, so there's no weight on the animal's back. Any two-wheeled vehicle, all the weight is in fact resting on the animal's back. So you'll see in most cases the saddle pad of the harness is a little bit wider to take up more of that weight. So that's one difference to look for. Also, our drivers are primarily sitting on the right-hand side of their vehicle, because all of our driving etiquette comes from England, and that has not changed. So in England, they always drive, they sit on the right, they drive on the right as well. And this fellow right here has a built-up seat. It's known as a marathon wedge. That keeps him very secure in his vehicle. So if you're filming a cones class at speed, he's got sides on its seat. It holds him right in place. And this gal here, right here, she has a groom with her, dressed as a groom with a velvet hard hat, and she's, of course, sitting on the right of her carriage. This gal in the Meadowbrook is sitting on the right of her carriage as well. And some of these vehicles have fenders, and their fenders is used to keep the mud and the dirt from flying on the driver. Everything has a practical base for it.
Right here, there's the curved shafts. What is that for?
Well, that goes with the style of the vehicle. This vehicle was originally built primarily to show hackney horses, and in England. So in England, they have the curve in the shaft. Well, we have it here as well. The tugs, the loops that hold the shafts up. His girth will come up, the overgrowth will wrap around the shaft, and then back to its girth again. And then there's no breeching, which is the leather strap that goes around the hind legs, which is used for braking. Because this vehicle, which we have over there, they were used and built primarily for showing, always on the level, on the flat, so breeching was not as important. This allows the horse to be seen, to move quite fluidly, and it has a lot of motion. The shafts curve over and then they tip out a bit. So if they have a really high action like a hackney horse would, or Park Morgan, they don't interfere with the shafts whatsoever. This is just a kind of a low moving horse. He looks quite nice. He could have a lot more motion and would look beautiful in a vehicle like this. And this is a reproduction of an actual Lord Stanhope gig.
Let's talk about colors. In hats. We talked about hats in the last class. So, colors and hats.
We primarily want to be subdued. We don't want to look like, the joke is like you're going to a funeral. You want to have a little bit of color. And like this gentleman, he's got a nice yellow flower on his lapel. Adds a little bit of color. He'd look kind of dull if he didn't have that on. The next horse coming down here is a very good use of color. You can see she has a bright, sort of what I would call a turquoise green jacket, because her vehicle is black, so she adds a little bit of color. And it just brightens it up. But you want to be careful that it's not too garish, where it doesn't clash too much with the whole turnout.
So right here, I see it looks like a hunt seat outfit that you'd see in a show ring. What's that about?
This gal is dressed like a groom. So and if you have someone with you that is dressed like a groom, then they do not wear an apron because they have to get out and head the horse. Now, as a passenger, you can also get out if you want to, but primarily this gal is dressed as a groom, so in the lineup she will immediately get out and stand in front of the horse. And she's there to square the horse up if necessary, because in carriage driving, we do not bring in the professional person from the rail. If you need someone to head your horse, that's fine, but they have to be carried in your carriage. Because we're trying to get away from that type of showing. We want to make this more as a pleasure individual.
Like an amateur kind of.
Yeah, a little more like that. But there are certainly some.
Yeah.
There are some pros in this class. There's nothing, no one here that to me is obviously a pro. Most of these are amateurs, and they're owner drivers, which is very nice.
Yeah, definitely.
See how colorful this gal is coming?
And the lights, that's really cool looking.
The lamps are there, and if the class is after 6 o'clock, you can light your lamps, which is very nice. This vehicle, 957, just went by, that is a new reproduction vehicle, and it's entirely made out of metal, but it looks like wood. So a lot of new vehicles are being made now, and they are metal, and the wheels are also metal, but they're made to look like a wooden vehicle. So that is acceptable. In a turnout class, it would be not as acceptable because that's more on the carriages of much more importance. This vehicle going by here was, I know particularly it was made in New York City by the Brewster Company. They later made Rolls Royces, and all their vehicles were made for individuals. So that vehicle has a number, you can look it up. The original purchaser probably was someone as a who in New York City. Unlike, let's say, a Studebaker, that mass-produced vehicles, maybe 30,000 a year, sent them on trains all over the United States, and they were sold like cars are sold by dealers today.
John, thank you so much for giving insight and your knowledge, years of knowledge in the carriage driving division. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I thrive on carriage driving, and I want it to grow, and I want to help people get involved because it's a great thing.
Yeah,
and you can do it yourself, which is wonderful.
And you're a natural at this too. It's pretty amazing seeing you talk, taking that mic and talk to people about all their turnout. It's pretty awesome.
Well, thank you. I've been doing this a long time.
I think you found a second career.
I don't know about that, but anyway, it's a treat. Mr. Noble, knew your father quite well when we were both a little bit younger, but it's super. And thank you for being here and being at the Grand National and sharing all this with anyone who wants to watch it, which is international, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good.
on every country road and every corner in OKC. From every sunrise through every hour of the night, our cameras capture every moment, expose every issue. At every local landmark, every family farm, and every small town home, we'll track every Oklahoma storm and reveal every Oklahoma story. You'll see us everywhere. KOCO 5 News.